Hey, Bruce Naylor here, your boomer consumer. Pardon my voice, I'm trying to recover from bronchitis. And before we get started in the review of the excellent FiiO K11 R2R Dac, I just wanted to bring this up, a little housekeeping. I do have a second YouTube channel, Bruce's Retirement Corner, or channel, and there is where I'll be sharing with you health updates. Some of you may know, some of you may not know, but I was recently diagnosed with stage 2B lung cancer. And I'm going to be going through all the treatments and all that, but I don't really, this is not the channel to share that. But if you're interested in that journey, the retirement journey, saving and investing for retirement, budgeting, all that kind of stuff, then check out my retirement channel, link down below. Enough on that. And oh yes, I am recovering from bronchitis. That's a direct result of the bronchoscopy that was, or biopsy rather, that was done to detect the cancer. That was just a little gift that just keeps on giving. So pardon, I'm very sorry about my voice. Anyway, let's talk about this. The FiiO K11 R2R Dac. You know what? I think this under $200 Dac, and I do have links down below, and this was a loaner sent to me by APOS. So it's not mine to keep, but you know what? I like it so much. I'm just going to give you the spoiler up front. I'm going to go ahead and get my credit card and buy it outright. This should put companies such as Denafrips, Gestard, the more expensive R2R Dac. Because if you ever priced out R2R Dacs, generally they're much more expensive than, say, your what's called Delta Sigma Dacs, such as, Topping, SMSL, and some of the iFi and some of the others as well. This puts these companies on notice that, yes, you can make a true 24-bit resistor ladder DAC, make it sound good, pack it with some good features, and sell it profitably for under 200 bucks. And these things are sold out just about everywhere. They're so in demand because people have heard how wonderful an R2R Dac sounds. I gotta tell you, my current R2R Dac is the Hi-Fi Man Serenade. And it's a wonderful resistor ladder DAC with their Himalaya DAC. It's kind of a resistor ladder on a chip type of thing. The volume control, they also put a resistor ladder potentiometer for the volume control on this thing. This is it's a surprising DAC. I've reviewed a lot of DACs. This is right now doggone near the top of my list this year. All right. So you want this. Some people say R2R sounds better. It's more musical, sweeter sounding, potentially less jitter and better timing. You don't have all the clock issues. Musical sounding, natural sounding. That is what a lot of people say about R2R Dacs. What do you get for your $200 investment? All right. Well, of course, in the box, you get the DAC, a quick start guide. You get an accessory box that contains a USB cable, a 3.5 millimeter to 6.35 millimeter headphone adapter, and then you get the power supply. So let me share my impressions of, listening to the FiiO K11 R2R as well as, listening to it, using it, living with it. First off, right off the very top, I'm going to tell you the sound quality is absolutely phenomenal. It literally blew me away. This went toe-to-toe with my $1,000 Hi-Fi Man Serenade R2R Dac. Went toe-to-toe with it. Furthermore, I think it's a great size for a desktop device, measuring just a little over 5 inches in width and 5 inches in depth, also a little over an inch high. So compare that, say, to a water bottle. 8-ounce water bottle, you see? It's not very big. It's got a nice rubber bottom on the bottom and rubber bottom on the bottom. It's got a nice rubber bottom, which means that it won't slide around. Now, I had the power supply hooked up, a USB cable, an optical cable, and a coax cable, all hooked up to the back of this. And no, the weight of the cables, because some of these DACs are so small and light, you just pull them down. Now, this stayed in place, so I'm glad about that. The all-metal construction, it's got LED lighting effects. The knurled front knob, by the way, the volume is a resistor ladder potentiometer. Very cool in a product of this price range. Very nice, albeit small display. But there's more. This is also a headphone amp, and it is a 1300 milliwatt power supply on there, 1.3 watts, and it also is unbalanced 6.35 and then a balanced 4.4 millimeter headphone output. And I auditioned this with my Hi-Fi Man HE1000 planar magnetic headphones. That's how I sat and I listened very, very intently to this, comparing it to my reference DAC, which is the topping D70 Pro Sabre edition. That's my reference. That's one of the two references, and then the Hi-Fi Man is the second reference. So that's how I auditioned this, and the HE1000s aren't necessarily that easy to drive, but no problem, because why? There's 3 different gain level settings on here, a low, medium, and high. And at medium, gain did just fine. With the HE1000s, though, I found myself leaning more towards the high gain on there. And of course, you have the typical suspects for inputs. You have your power on the back, you've got USB, you've got optical, coaxial, and then you have a couple RCA outputs. Let's go over the front control, the home page of the settings. So let's take a little tour of the front, and you get a 6.35 millimeter headphone jack, and then a 4.4 millimeter balanced headphone jack. Of course, a very nice display. It is small, but it shows you enough information, your sample rate, your volume, your gain and output mode. Now, pressing and holding on the multifunction button, you'll see the settings. So you have gain or your output, oversampling mode, USB working modes, brightness controls, and RGB modes, idle time, update the firmware, and factory reset, and a firmware version, and finally return back to the home screen. This is a fairly simple DAC to operate. Really, it's basically plug and play. And it can be used as just a headphone amp in DAC. It can be just a pure DAC mode. In other words, it can just set it to send a fixed volume or fixed voltage output. And then you can use it as a preamp if you wish. So you have all those features built in. Let's cover some of the major features of the K11 R2R Dac. First, there's a fully differential 24-bit R2R Dac with 192 precision resistors. Again, you get a dual non-oversampling, oversampling modes. Supports up to 384 kilohertz, 24-bit on PCM and DSD 256. That's all supported. High-quality electronic volume control, 3 gain levels, independent volume curves, specially designed audio bridge circuit. And you know what? I'm going to just put these up on screen, and you can look at them as we continue. Let's take a little tour of the back. And on the back, it's very simple. There's your power. Then you have a USB input, optical input, your coaxial input, and finally RCA single input out. And that is your outputs on here. So how did I test the K11 R2R Dac? Well, I started with the source, which is my iPad, via USB connection directly into the K11 R2R, and then I used the Hi-Fi Man HE1000 headphones to listen to the DAC headphone amp, reviewing it as it is shipped. And one of my favorite references, especially for high-res music on Apple Music, is the Hotel California album. And I gotta tell you, one of the tracks, New Kid in Town, the vocals were just so soft, and not soft, but warm. There's a warmth to an R2R Dac that you just really can't replicate all that easily with a Delta Sigma DAC, at least not in my mind. And it was just, there was some Pratt there, pace, rhythm, and timing. I think it's a British term, I'm not sure. But whatever gets your toes tapping, this thing's got it in spades. Big sound stage, great imaging. And then to pick up the pace a little bit, Life in the Fast Lane. Who doesn't love that tune? It just really hits hard. It's a great tune. And the guitars on there is just amazing on this DAC. Then I really wanted to slam this thing hard. I really wanted to hit the system hard. And so I put on, from Deep Purple, Smoke on the Water. And that has got it's got to be the world's most recognizable guitar riff opening that up. You know, D, 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 D. I'm having a little bit of fun. Maybe I've got too much cold medicine in me. I don't know. Anyhow, Smoke on the Water, according to what I read, was sort of like a blueprint for future heavy metal music. Maybe? I don't know. But man, it really puts that Dac through its paces. Wonderful tune. Deep Purple, one of my favorite classic bands of the 70s era. Check it out if you haven't seen. The album is called Metalhead. Another album was John Wetton's album Jackknife. If you've not heard John Wetton, he's a rock. It's a rock group, or he's got a rock band, I should say. But man, the tune "Too Much Monkey Business," it to me is hints of a. I think I don't know if it's still a thing or not, or is a thing, but rockabilly. And it's rock and roll and country kind of mixed together, and it just sounds really fantastic. Check out John Wetton and the Jackknife album. So, sound quality overall. This thing images very, very well. The soundstage is large. Probably not as large as, say, on a Delta Sigma. It's definitely not quite as large as on my topping D70 Pro. But it's still quite large. It's still a very large, tall sound stage. And also, imaging is very, very good on this. Bass is really tight. It's fast. It's very, very solid. It's not muddy, and it's well controlled. The headphone amp did a great job with all of that. Mids. Yeah, that's where the music lives. And this does have more of an analog type of sound to it. And it's just got R2R Dacs just have a characteristic, that's why audiophiles love them, that just give you this kind of a more natural sound, maybe a little less digital sounding. There's just a warmth to it. Is it distortion? Maybe, I'm not sure, but I just know that there is more of an analog warmth to R2R Dacs, and you're certainly getting one for a lot. So if you want to experiment, you could afford to do that because it doesn't cost you $1,000, $1,500, $2,000 or more. The highs, the treble. Never tiring, never fatiguing, not overly bright, maybe just slightly subdued because that mid-range just really just kind of stands out, just kind of pops. So would I buy one? As I hopefully said in the beginning of this recording, I'm already in the process of buying it. It's not going back. I'm going to pay for it out of my own pocket because I think this would make an excellent little Dac for some other systems I'm setting up in the house. Well, that's it. Bruce Naylor, the Boomer Consumer. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.